morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. We got some day baseball today and a pretty good baseball slate overall. I have probably my favorite bet of the MLB season thus far today. We're about a month into the season, so now is when we're starting to actually get some data on these teams, players, stuff that we can take advantage of. I feel like buying low on players or teams, that aren't performing up to what I think they should be. But yeah, I think my favorite bet of the season thus far, 2-unit play. So we're going to talk about that. It's in the night slate though, not in the day slate. But we'll talk about the baseball games. Obviously, we'll recap basketball yesterday. And we will talk about basketball tonight as well. We have 3 more games tonight: Magic, Celtics, Heat, Cavs, Warriors, Rockets, game 2. All of those should be fun. Looking forward, most to the Warriors and Rockets game tonight. Should be really good. I would assume I'm kind of looking for the Rockets to bounce back and at least pick up this game, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Let's look at last night's basketball first. So we had the kind of par for the course to start out. If you guys saw my tweet yesterday, because yesterday on the stream I said I liked the Bucks, and I ended up how I bet it was I did sprinkle on their money line, but the main bet I took was Bucks plus 9.5 parlayed with Lakers money line at plus 102 odds. That was a 2-unit play. That was a winner. Shout out to the Bucks for fighting hard to Trey. What's up? Cover that 9.5. I was pretty worried that they weren't even going to cover the 9.5 for quite some time. They were down 15 pretty late in the fourth quarter, and they made a little run back. So shout out to the Bucks. That was a winner. That was sweaty, but we'll take it. We'll take it. So. The Bucks just don't look on the same level as the Pacers right now. The Bucks just look dead in the water. I don't know. Dame came back, played 37 minutes. Okay, so this is a guy that hasn't played in a month. Potentially, we thought his career may have been over. We didn't know if he'd be able to play basketball anymore with this blood clot in his calf. He comes back and just plays 37 minutes. So I got to give my respects to Dame for that. I thought he played, to the best of his ability. He didn't shoot the ball great, but he did what he could do. Giannis obviously did what he does, 34, 18, and 7. Again, just really no one stepping up other than the main guys. I mean, Brook Lopez, he played okay. He had some big blocks at times. So, he did his part, but he really just can't do anything. Bobby Portis was much better last night than he was in game 1. He had 28 points off the bench. He was the only other person that really did anything. Taurean Prince was a non-factor. Gary Trent was a non-factor. Kuzma got 12 points, so he did okay. But really, again, he missed some layups to start the game that came back to hurt them. I don't know. And then Kevin Porter Jr. off the bench was absolutely horrible. I know he hit that 3 right at the end of the third quarter. I don't care. He was a black hole on offense. I truly don't know what he was doing. He got a flagrant one because he grabbed I don't remember if it was Siakam or who. He grabbed somebody's leg. It actually might have been Thomas Bryant. I can't remember. He grabbed someone's leg, got a flagrant. Kevin Porter Jr. was terrible last night. So I don't know. Pacers look on another level to me right now. We'll see what happens in Milwaukee, but I don't have really any faith in Doc Rivers making adjustments needed. I don't really know what adjustments they could make. Defensively, they just haven't played good. Given up, it was Bryant. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. They just haven't played good defensively. They're giving up a lot of open threes, which in theory you would think is correctable, but I just don't know. I don't think they're a disciplined defensive team. A lot of overhelp on some of those spots, and it just leaves guys wide open. And you just can't really do that against any NBA team, but especially the Pacers. So, yeah, the fact he's in the league is a joke. Wait, are you talking about Porter? I agree, Guru. I mean, yeah, he's had plenty of off the court issues, but wow, he was horrible last night. I mean, just really bad. So I don't know. I mean, we have Pacers in that parlay for the series, feeling good about that. The problem is it hinges on the Knicks, and I don't know. I'm kind of scared about the Knicks. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I kind of want to fire on the Pistons. I kind of want to bet this, man. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I don't know, like, there's just something off about this Knicks team. I can't, like, put my finger on it. I don't understand why. We talked about this yesterday. I don't understand why did they go away from this, like, Karl Anthony Towns, like, offense? And, again, I'm not the biggest Karl Anthony Towns fan. I wouldn't want him on my team if I'm trying to win an NBA championship, but I feel like early on in the season, like, they were really cooking with, like, Brunson and Towns, like, pick and roll. Like, Towns was so good the first half of the season. I don't understand why they went away from this. Okay, so last year, the Knicks, let's see. So they beat the 76ers, 4-2 in the first round, and then they lost to the Pacers 4-3. I don't know, man. I kind of want to bet the Pistons. Knicks have no real offense. Yeah, they don't. They just play. It's like they just, like I said yesterday, Brunson is physically exhausted late in these games. You're not going to win games when it's 3 minutes left and you're just relying on him to, like, ISO run around, Asar Thompson or whoever. Like, the Pistons have, like, lengthy, long defenders. Like, they're not easy to just, like, Brunson's not just going to run around them. And I know I've seen some people complaining about him foul baiting and stuff. Like, that all plays into it. Like, he's gotten to the free throw line doing that, but late in the game, I don't think he's going to be able to just run by these guys and just go get a bucket. I don't know. The offense is terrible. So I kind of want to fire on the Pistons to win the series. This number obviously is going to change a lot tonight if the Pistons win. So I don't know. It's kind of like the debate is, do we just take the series line or do we just bet the Pistons to win the game tonight? That's kind of like the debate. So let me think about that while we do the rest of the stream. But yeah, so continuing on, last night, I mean, Thunder just rolled the Grizzlies again. Just, it was never a game. I was flat out wrong about Marvin Bagley, although I will say he checked in the – let me see when he checked in the first half. He checked in, immediately got 2 fouls, and then never played again the rest of the first half. So, yeah, that wasn't much of a help here. Let's see. Play-by-play, first quarter. How do I see when someone checked in? I don't know. Whenever he came in, he literally was on the court for 1 minute, instantly got 2 fouls, never came back in the rest of the first half, and then I don't know. That was a disaster bet. Like, just again, Zach Edey minus 13. Jaren Jackson's played terrible too, but I don't know. The Grizzlies just have they're probably going to get swept. I mean, they have no answers. No effort at all. Yeah, I don't understand it, Guru. Like, you would think just as a professional athlete, you'd have some pride after you get beat by literally like 60 points in game one. You think you'd come out, at least play well in the first quarter of the next game. I'm not saying the Grizzlies are going to go win the series or anything, but they could have came out and had a little more energy and effort in that first quarter. They lost the first quarter 32-17, and they were down what were they down here with? I mean, with 7 minutes left in the first quarter, they were down 11-2. Like, come on. You just got beat by 60 and you're going to come out and you score 2 points in the first like 5-6 minutes. Like, I don't know. No effort whatsoever. Absolutely horrible. They're probably going to get swept though. And then the night game, Lakers and Wolves. I told you guys I thought the Lakers were a lock yesterday. They did win. That was a must-win game, and they got it done. So we officially have a series there. I mean, the role players did not play as well for Minnesota. Naz Reid was in huge foul trouble, only had 9 points. Alexander Walker only had 4. McDaniels had 8. But Anthony Edwards still just didn't do, like, I kind of thought, like, if the role players took a step back, Anthony Edwards could give you 35 or 40. He only had 25 points. He really didn't do anything in the fourth quarter. Luka just came out on fire. He had 22 in the first half, finished with 31, almost triple-doubled. Jackson Hayes continues. Like, he only played 9 minutes again, so it looks like this is just not a Jackson Hayes series. He played like 8 minutes in the first game, 9 in the second. They've gone to big minutes for Dorian Finney-Smith. He played 39 last night, so it looks like Jackson Hayes just really isn't going to be involved in this series, and the Lakers are just going to roll with this really small lineup. Hachimura got hurt but came back in. LeBron, obviously, I mean, he played 40 minutes. He played much better than he did in game 1. So, yeah, we have a series. We'll see what happens there. The updated series price is dead even on the series price there. So if you feel really strongly one way or another, I'd jump in and bet this. Should be a good rest of the series there, though. For tonight, obviously the big news is Jason Tatum not playing for the Boston Celtics. He got I don't know if you guys saw this, but he got hurt, I think, on that when he got fouled or whatever, and then the clip went kind of viral. Joe Mazzulla like just yelled at him to get up and didn't let the trainer go out there. And then, I mean, I don't know. He's like a bone bruise in his wrist. He should be fine. They probably are just being, cautious with him. I don't really think they need him to win this game. As you can see, they're still 10.5-point favorites. I still like Boston in this game. Not going to go out of my way to bet them to cover double digits without Tatum, but I feel pretty safe with the Celtics still winning this game. I just have serious questions about the offense for Orlando, which was our concern coming into the series. Like, they kind of got through the play-in with those huge efforts from Cole Anthony, and like, relying on Cole Anthony is not going to win you playoff games. Like, there's just not enough from the other guys other than Paolo and Franz. And I mean, if you look even at the first game on Saturday, the Magic lost 103-86. Paolo had 36 points, right? Franz had 23. Like, yeah, he could have scored a little bit more, but I mean, you got over 50, almost 60 from Paolo and Franz, and they still lost by, 20 points. Carter had 4, KCP 6, Isaac 7, Cole Anthony had 4. Like, there's not enough offense from the other guys, and Boston is just too good on defense. So I kind of like this under, to be honest with you. This is a really low total, but this might be a spot of like, you can't set the total low enough, especially because we could probably expect Boston's offense to be worse with Tatum off the floor. I don't really think that just because Tatum's out, the Magic are going to be able to light up the scoreboard. So if I were leaning at anything in this game, it'd honestly probably be the under 196.5. And yeah, I think you could just see like, I don't know. This could be like an 80, like this could be like in the 80s, this game. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be much offense here. So under, thinks he's go big with Horford for Tatum. They could. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it much. Probably some interesting angles there for props if you can predict right, what they do. But I mean, Jaylen Brown is banged up too. I feel like people are forgetting that, which is an interesting layer, not for this series, but for down the road. Jaylen Brown, has this, I think, like this knee injury. I'm trying to look at the update here. I don't know. I mean, yeah. So he had a bone bruise, obviously for a while. They were talking about just like injecting him, which I think is fine. But for long term, like you got to think again. This isn't a factor for this series. They're gonna sweep or win in 5 over the Magic. That's not the problem. The problem is if they play a full series here, they get a little bit of rest. The next series is going to be harder. And then, like, if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's when this could start to take effect, I think. Like, playing the Cavs, assuming that's who they play, with a really banged up Jaylen Brown, kind of a banged up Tatum, that would be a little bit concerning. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but just interesting food for thought. The under in this game probably would be my lean, though, if I was picking something here. Heat and Cavs. I have a play I love in this game, and it is Jarrett Allen double-double at plus 115 odds. I think this is a great play. So he double-doubled. First of all, if you guys are, familiar with the streams, I don't bet the NBA every day during the regular season. I kind of pick and choose my spots. But anytime the Cavs had a big game against Boston or OKC, a team like that, we did bet Jared Allen double-double at plus money a few times this season. I like to bet him in these big games because I feel like he camps in the paint a lot more than Mobley. And that was something I noticed just watching the Cavs on Sunday. Mobley was coming out to the perimeter a lot. It was leading to a lot more just, I feel like, rebound chances for Jared Allen. And I want to check that, actually. I want to see if I can find. Okay, playoff. Yeah, let's see. Let me see if I can go Cavs. Yeah, so Mobley was out on the perimeter a lot, and they kind of need him to do that, like, defensively. So if we look at just the first game on Sunday, Jared Allen had 20 rebound chances. Evan Mobley had 12. So that's like a big difference between the two. So I think this is going to be a big series where we see Jared Allen, gobble up a lot of these rebounds because he's just closer to the basket, whereas Mobley's going to be asked to defend out on the perimeter more. So Jared Allen, he had 11 rebounds in the first game. He did double-double. I like this at plus 115. I think this should be minus 115, not plus 115. I think he should be along the lines with Bam or Mobley. Like, I don't really understand why Mobley's minus 125 for a double-double opposed to Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen is the more likely double-double candidate. So Jared Allen plus 115 double-double I like tonight a lot. I think the Cavs should obviously win this game, but not going to lay the 12. I'm just going to take this double-double at plus money and get out of there. And then in the late game, I'm probably not going to bet this, but I told you guys yesterday there is a big trend of high seeds at home after they lose game 1. They do cover and win game 2 at a pretty high clip. So that system hit yesterday, obviously, with the Lakers. Higher seed, lost at home game 1, came back and won game 2. I think you could see the same thing. Very similar to, like, the Lakers. It was just a must-win. You can't go to Minnesota down 2. And that's a team with Luka and LeBron. I'm saying they can't go to Minnesota down 0-2. The Houston Rockets are a young team with very, very limited playoff experience other than Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. Really, like, I guess you could throw Steven Adams in there too. He played good in game 1, but the main crux of this Houston team, when you think of Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, Şengün, even like Jabari Smith off the bench, some of their other scorers, This is not an experienced team, so you simply cannot go to Golden State down 0-2. You just can't. So Houston has to win this game. I would lean towards them to win. I'm just going to sit it out and not bet on the game, but I would definitely lean towards Houston winning this and getting it to 1-1 going back to Golden State. If Houston loses this, I mean, we can cash our Golden State -1.5 early because the sweep may be in here. So, yeah, I'm looking for Houston to win the night, but yeah, Green under 18.5. I don't know, man. I don't know if I trust that guy. I'd probably lean under. Oh, it's 17.5 on FanDuel. Yeah, I'd probably lean under 18.5 to be honest with you. Nothing really sticking out here. I guess maybe Jimmy Butler. Let me look at rebounds. I like Steph. Steph rebounds has kind of been like a playoff play in recent years. It's a little bit different when Jimmy Butler on the team, though. I want to see how many did he have in game 1? Let me see. So in the play-in, he had 8. Yeah, he had 6 again in the first game. Steph Curry here. Let me pull up. Let me pull up just his playoff game log. He gets a ton of rebounds in the playoffs. Wait, Steph Curry playoff game log. Let me see if I can pull this up here. All right, this is on Basketball Reference. So let's go back. So we'll look at obviously this year. He had 6. If we go back to last year, 2023, they lost to the Lakers this playoff series, right? In the second round. His games rebounding total was 6, 3, 10, 4, 4, 6. So that one was kind of split. He went over in 3 out of 6 games. The series before that, 6, 3, 6, 5, 8. And then, so pretty like slightly winning there in that series. If we go back to 2022, 7, 4, 10, 6, 5, 5, 5, 8, 12. I don't know. I feel like he gets a lot of rebounds in the playoffs. So I would kind of lean towards this over 4.5. Celtics. It's a lean right now, Ryan, but I'll probably play it to be honest, because I want some action on this game. I'll probably play it, or I'll just use Celtics money line in a parlay or something. I would like some action in this game. I'll say lean for now. Let me look after this. We'll make a parlay maybe, and we'll just put Celtics money line in it. But yeah, Curry over 4.5 rebounds is a lean. He boards a lot in the playoffs, but like I said, I think the Rockets should win this game. I'm not going to bet it, but they can't go to Golden State down. They just can't. All right. Switch over to baseball here. I told you guys favorite baseball bet of the entire season is today. For these early games, I don't really love anything. I liked this under in the Philly Mets games, but it moved down. It wasn't 8.5. I think last night when I saw it, and then I woke up and it was 7.5. So I'm just not going to play it. I don't really ever bet no run first inning, but if you want to get a little bit cheeky, you could probably take the Nerfy in that Mets and Phillies game. Zach Wheeler has a pretty good career against the Mets. Just overall, it's not as good as I thought. I'll probably just pass. I really don't like to play Nerfy anyways, so pass on that one. I would lean the Guardians. They have looking for the sweep here over the Yankees, which is pretty crazy. Looking at Carlos Rodon for this season, He's been pretty average, but it looks like you could potentially see, some good luck coming his way. He's at a 4.34 ERA, 3.31 expected. Strikeouts have been very good at 32%. Problem is his walk rate is a career high right now, 13, almost 14%. So that's been a big issue for him, just, issuing those free passes, allowing base runners, ramping up his pitch count. So, it's kind of just a mixed bag. I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna fix that or not. Luis Ortiz is somebody that the Guardians picked up from the Pirates. I actually saw him in person in Pittsburgh last summer, and I was pretty impressed with him, to be honest. Like, in person, his stuff looked really good to me. This year, he's a 5.48 ERA, but 4.49 expected, so he's been a little bit unlucky. His strikeout rate is up, though. If we look at his past with Pittsburgh, he was around like a 19, 18, 17% strikeout rate guy. It's up to 25% this year, which the Guardians are very good at developing pitching, so I'm sure they saw some things mechanically that they could iron out. They have flipped his pitch mix a little bit. If we look at last year, he was slider. It was more of an even split between his slider and fastball. He actually threw more sliders than his fastball last year, and then his sinker was his third most used pitch. This year, his four-seamer is far and away his most used pitch, then his slider and his cutter. So they did make some pitch mix changes, which could maybe attribute to the increase in strikeouts. I think he's a solid, middle to back end rotation guy, but I really like what I've seen from the Guardians offense. And yeah, I would be willing to back them as underdogs here. More of a lean than a play, if anything, though. Ryan, Rockets -3, Curry 5 boards, Jalen Green under 18.5, 6-1 on DraftKings. Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Sometimes you get pretty good payouts on those like reverse correlations, Ryan. Like taking Jalen Green under points, but Rockets to win and cover. Like, you're gonna get a pretty tasty payout on something like that. Butler steals. Don't hate that at all, Guru, either. And we know that Butler is just gonna play just monster minutes because he has to. Like, for them to have any chance of like resting Curry, Butler is going to play pretty much the entire game. So I don't hate that at all. But for the early window, Guardians probably be my only lean. I haven't played it, though. Moving on down to the night slate. This is my favorite bet of the entire MLB season thus far. 2-unit play for me. Houston Astros. I'm going to play them 2 units on the money line, and I'm also going to play them first 5. I absolutely love the Astros tonight at home against Bowden Francis. First and foremost, Francis is a pitcher that I am looking to sell in the short term here. He has been pretty lucky for multiple seasons now, last year and this year, but for this season, it's been even worse. So last year, he was pretty good at contact management, which is how he was able to outperform his numbers a little bit this year. His hard hit percentage is up to 54% from 36% last year, just a major, major increase. His ERA is 3.13, but his expected ERA is 6.52. So he's been extremely lucky this season. And, you can only rely on the Blue Jays playing good defense for so long before it ultimately burns you, especially when you're giving up hard hits at the rate that he is. So this is a pitcher I'm really looking to sell in the short term. And on the opposite side for the Astros, Ryan Gusto, he was like a top 20-ish prospect for Houston. I'm looking to kind of buy him, to be honest. I think he's pretty good. He also allows a lot of hard hits, though, 51%. But he has good strikeout stuff. And his, like, I don't know. We'll see. It's a limited sample, but I'm pretty encouraged with what I've seen from him, and he can get away a little bit better with the hard hits because he does not walk anyone. He has one of the best walk rates in baseball this season, does not issue really any free passes. But this cap is more about just, I'm looking to sell Bowden Francis more than it is Gusto, but I do think Ryan Gusto could be a decent pitcher long term. So it makes me feel a little bit better that he's pitching. And especially because he's pitching as opposed to someone like Hunter Brown or something, the odds wouldn't even be remotely close. Like we're getting pretty close to even odds on Houston, and it's the same thing for the first 5. So let me throw that in there too. So yeah, Astros, big play for me today. I really like them to win the game tonight, and that'll be my big MLB sweat. At the same time, you can get at least on Bet365, you can get minus 125 on Yordan Alvarez over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Some of his like raw numbers don't look as good as they have in the past, but still looking for some positive regression coming his way. Still hitting the ball very, very hard, 94 average exit velocity this season. And he is an extremely good fastball hitter. Last year, 314 batting average, 52% hard hit rate. This year against fastballs, he's hitting 179, but 293 expected. So he's gotten extremely unlucky on those fastballs this season. So this is another guy we're looking to buy low on. Bowden Francis does use his fastball almost 60% of the time. So pretty good buy low spot here for Alvarez. And coinciding, I guess, with the Astros. If you guys remember a couple of Wednesdays ago, we brought Steve on and we talked to some of our baseball teams. I think he's in the waiting room. So let me pull him up here. Steve, how we doing?
Good. How you doing, Ben?
Pretty good. We were missing you on the stream last week, but I know you got a lot going on with the kids running around now. Well, not running, but dealing with it.
I guess it's even busier when they're not running around at this stage.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's even more to do. You can't just yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it was I didn't really end up with a week off. But they're back home, happy, healthy, growing. And it's good to be able to kind of return back to work this week, get back into a little bit of normalcy, and start to turn my attention back to sports, because we got a lot going on in the world of sports right now with NHL kicking off, NBA kicking off, MLB in full flight, fantasy sports. We're at that critical point where you know if your team's any good or your teams are any good or not, and if you need to make any changes. So yeah, I'm excited to talk sports today. I'm also gonna get I'm gonna get some Rolling Insight swag on as well, just to
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. And
uh,
we've got so I definitely want to talk to you a little bit about NHL playoffs. We've got NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs going on, NFL draft tomorrow. Baseball's in full swing. There's a lot going on right now. So let me
and also of note, just to put on the agenda, I have an updated version of the data space that I created for our expert league for baseball.
we'll
So we
definitely
can
take a look.
pull that up at some point. I know the last showing wasn't great. I was a little rushed before the meeting, but I've got it running now. Tickety boo, I've got all our data in there, so I can talk a little bit about that. We can look at it, see how our teams shape up according to the model.
Yeah, all right. Let's look at NHL, and then I'll pass that over to you, and you can pull that up, and we can do a little bit of analysis. So, looking for just in general, because I know obviously you know hockey way more than I do. So, just in general, what's your thoughts on the playoffs thus far? Has anything stuck out to you? And any just big takeaways you have from the first, couple games of the NHL playoffs?
So my first takeaway, which we've talked about in the past, is I'm a bit worried about our Dallas Stars.
Yeah, I was gonna. That
They're
was gonna be one of my big questions.
they're a bit banged up, and they're playing Colorado, who's firing in all cylinders. Now the series is 1-1. So, like, one of the things that the NHL, and my buddies and I have been talking a little about this, that I don't love that they're sticking to it. Like they doubled down. A reporter was asking about it this year. They want these regional rivalries. So what ends up happening is you have it Dallas, Colorado in the first round. You have two of the top teams in the West that are going to face off, and one of them is going to get knocked out, which it leads for a great first round series, but it doesn't have the anticipatory build that happens with the playoffs. There's so much hockey going on right now that you can't watch all of it. I want to see Dallas and Colorado in round two, conference finals, like towards the end. So I think that's that. The first thing is I'm a bit worried about our Dallas Stars. I think you put a futures bet on Dallas, didn't you?
Yeah, I have them in. I have some parlay going, and I had Dallas Stars to win the West in there. Yeah, so
Yeah. So I'm a bit worried about that, I'm not gonna lie. And I know that I gave you, but it's hockey. Lots can change. And it's 1-1, so they're not out of it yet. The other thing that I want to quickly highlight is Washington, Montreal. So the interesting thing about this is if you go back and you look, just building off of what I just mentioned on the regional side of things, Montreal, Washington. Washington came out of the gates in that first game, beat up the much smaller Habs. Um, Habs tied it up, looked a lot better at the end. They're a much younger team, lost in overtime. Ovi, the old Russian mule in the crease, ended up scoring an OT winner, which I believe is his first playoff OT winner, which is crazy, considering how many games and goals he scored. Uh, but I look at that series and I'm like, ooh, Montreal, they might be able to turn an upset here. It looked a lot more competitive than I thought it would be. Um, and if then you look at their path, then they play Carolina or New Jersey. Carolina's a really good team. Jersey, not great. Carolina's up 2-0. Jersey's probably out. But Montreal could beat Carolina. I think that's a possibility. Next thing you know, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. So if you're looking for, good value, Montreal might be an interesting futures bet to win the cup and be that Cinderella story that ends up. Because the one thing about hockey is there's always every year, maybe not every year, but most years, there's one Cinderella. Someone who just squeaks in, is playing really great, and then goes on a run in one of those lower seeds and knocks off a whole bunch of the favorites.
okay. I don't. I obviously I'm always down for an upset longer odds play. So that sounds good. Trey, I just saw your comment in chat. Don't know if you're still in here, but Jose Ramirez home run today. I don't ever take him against a lefty. Jose Ramirez has 180 home runs in his career off righties and 80 against lefties. It's a big difference. He's not as good against lefties, so I really would never play his home run against a lefty. If anyone in chat has any hockey takes, drop those in. So, okay, Steve, what do you think of Edmonton and the Kings tonight? I need one of these. Okay, I need one of these hockey teams tonight so we can make a parlay. But it kind of sounds like you're not sold on Washington, so we don't have to take them. And
Yeah, I wouldn't take Washington. I would probably take the Kings. I thought they looked really good in game one. The Oilers, I don't want to describe this inappropriately. They're like that two-faced team where you have no idea what's going on with them at all
yeah,
times. Like they were getting absolutely smoked. And then next thing you know, was it tied? I'd gone to sleep, but I think it tied, and then Kings won it late. Or they stormed back and then the Kings scored again and got the insurance goal. But anyways, regardless, that series to me is primed for the Kings to finally win. I think this is the fourth time that they've played again, this whole regional format. They just keep playing each other. I think this is the year that the Kings could win. And one of the interesting thing about the Oilers, I think they played with 5 defensemen in the last game, and one defenseman played like 4 minutes. So that means you've got NHL defensemen who are getting beaten up every time they go back to get the puck, playing like 25 minutes, 30 minutes. That's
yeah,
bananas.
that doesn't sound sustainable.
It's not sustainable. So, and they've got no depth, no one that they trust. So I'm going Kings. They got better goaltending. The wild card, which could end up being wrong, is they've got McDavid and Draisaitl on the other side. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always scary to bet against that, but I don't hate it. Let's see. What can we do here? All right, and then we'll put in Houston. This is going to be pretty plus 500. This might be my parlay for tonight. Here we go. Cavs money line, Donovan Mitchell 25 points, and then we've got the Kings and the Astros. So Cavs, Donovan Mitchell obviously in the same game at 7:30, Houston at 7:40. So these are early start times. So best case scenario, we get all those through, and then we can actually watch this hockey game tonight at 10 o'clock and see
It's gonna be late,
see
real
what
late.
happens. That's gonna be a late night game.
Those
Uh,
Pacific time starts.
yeah. All right. I'm gonna here. If you want to share your screen, we can
Yep.
dive into our
Yeah.
team here. Let me stop sharing mine for a second. And then once you pull that up, we should be able to see it. So I'm excited to see this now that you have this updated. My team fallen off a little bit.
Perfect. Okay, let's look at the standings first. Give people a little.
There we go.
So yeah, you're falling off. I'm
Yeah.
plummeting.
I was in, I think the last time we looked at this, I was in, I don't know, I was in second or third, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. The I just being busy the last few weeks, I haven't even had any waiver wire pickups, and then there was like some early starts like 11:40 Eastern on
Yeah,
Monday morning.
this past Monday was like that Patriots day or whatever. So Boston starts at like it's the first game at like 11 a.m. Yeah,
It's
that's
brutal.
really
So
early.
then I didn't even have time to pick anybody up because the window was like 40 minutes, I think.
Hmm.
So anyways, my team is dipping. There's some good reasons for that. Uh, again, I end up with more injured players. Derek Hill, who I just picked up, not a huge, he's just kind of a journeyman slide in, ends up injured. So he's in my
Hmm.
lineup injured. So anyways, looking at the standings, we're not faring as well as we were previously, but we're not out of it yet. We're still inside that first month. You don't want to get too far back because then you got a real problem. You can't catch anyone.
Yeah, my lack of closing is just gonna kill me. I mean, it's not good.
Yeah, your SB, your saves a little low.
It's gonna kill me.
Your stolen bases as well
Yeah,
is
not good. I've got
yeah.
I have like all power and no like nothing else. Like if I look at like home, I think I'm first overall in home runs, second in RBIs,
Your first in home
top
runs.
yeah, top 4 or 5 in runs, first in home runs, pretty high in second in RBIs. I just have no speed, no speed, and I have no saves. I mean,
Your yeah,
I'm third in
average is good.
wins too. I have great starting pitching and power. I don't have any
Yeah,
speed and I have no saves, and it's gonna kill me.
yeah, yeah. We have not totally opposite teams. Like obviously my pitching is way stronger,
Yeah.
but my bats are brutal. And so maybe that Willie Adames pick isn't gonna work out like I thought.
Yeah,
Um,
we need to combine our teams though.
well, let's look at that. Let's
Be
do
so
that right
good.
now. So let's look at our batters. We just start making trades. People
Yeah.
watch the
Yeah, we'll just start trading with each other or just shake this
yeah,
league up.
yeah. They're like, wait a minute. This is exactly what we were worried about. So just to kind of explain to everyone who wasn't on last time and looking at it. So I built this data space, that's the beauty of SportWise, highly configurable. And uh, what I have in here is I've ranked, these batters, and the custom formula that I built is a composite Z score based on the categories inside of our season long pool or league. So home runs, RBIs, runs, stolen bases, batting average. And so then what it essentially does, it says, okay, multi-cap players are going to rank higher. If you have someone who's really strong in one category and weaker in another, it'll still probably rank them, in a good good place. And the theory behind it is if you can get as many people with a high composite score, you might have to do a bit of tweaking in a particular category if you're underserving it. But generally, you should be spreading the talent out, and you should be able to kind of come with a single ranking so that you can put together a list of players. So we look right now on the batter side of things. These stats are updated as of last night, I believe. Tatis Jr. is at the top of the ranking now. We had Kyle Tucker previously. He's dropped a couple spots. Judge was in second. He remains Tatis Jr. I used so unfortunately RT Sports doesn't have a means of exporting the data, so I had to kind of use a little bit of copy and paste and generative AI to get it into a spreadsheet and then import it into our custom data set solution on the left hand side. So with that said, Tatis Jr. He's on a team. He's not on it, probably because he has Junior in a name. It didn't match up with correctly, and I didn't go in and clean that up before he imported. So it's not like Ben and I can go out and grab Tatis Jr. and someone's dropped it. But one of the beauties of this is you can like come in and directly filter to two teams and compare them and look at that ranking. So I was looking at this last night, comparing our two teams. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is we talked about him last time, but Tyler Soderstrom at the top of your list in terms of batter rankings.
Yeah.
Kind of shocking. I did not expect that.
I mean, I can't even say I expected that. I drafted him in the mid rounds. Like, I thought he was a good mid round pick for where, he was going, especially because I feel like people in general were underrating the Athletics offense, just especially where they were going to be playing in the different ballpark. So I kind of was interested. I have Jacob Wilson too, who doesn't have really any power, but I mean, he's hitting for pretty high average. 337
Yeah,
for the season. So I was kind of a bit higher on the A's than anyone else, I guess.
yeah, and I don't know when I updated this, so it might be a little off. But yeah, that is yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just need more guys to steal bases. But that was a great pick. To get him in the middle rounds, kind of off the charts, great pick. James Wood, we kind of expected him high potential, so not surprising that he's at the top. Going back and looking at one of the guys that we talked about on the day of the draft, Wyatt Langford, hasn't really turned out as we thought. Any
Yeah,
comments on Wyatt?
he was hurt, so he just came back, and that's kind of his problem is like, staying healthy. But he's been good. Like when he has been on the field, he's been good. It's just he
Getting
has
him
to
on the
stay.
field enough.
Yeah, he has to stay healthy. I mean, he's hitting. 253 is. Or wait, that was last year. He's hitting 292 this season, but only 48 at bats because he missed some time. And then he did hit. I think he hit a home run last night. So hopefully
And
he
he
can
does,
stay healthy and actually help me.
yeah, and his per like so I take his batter rank, which that comes for divided by the at bats to kind of normalize and take out, guys that are injured, et cetera, maybe not playing as much to kind of get a bit of a sense of where they rank on a normal scale, if they
Hmm.
had equal playing time. And he is higher, but still not as high as I would have thought. Like, for kind of a maybe not generational, but expected to be a superstar.
Yeah.
Still some room to be
Well, I
desired
mean,
here.
I would have thought I would have thought he'd be above James Wood, but James Wood is higher than him and Jackson Chorio, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and the Nationals have been, a bit of a surprise in my eyes. I
Hmm.
thought, the Soto trade was going to be the start of their end, and they parlayed that into a relatively competitive team. Um, so yeah, I guess when you play on a good team and maybe a good organization, I don't know if that's true for the Nationals, but you end up achieving your potential better. Uh, I'm just still shocked that the Rangers wouldn't be able to get more out of him.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this. Can you guess who my team leader in steals is?
I can sort by it. Josh Naylor.
Josh Naylor is
Jeez.
there's a serious problem when Josh Naylor is leading my team in steals.
Yeah. Yeah. That tank out there
The
stealing
fact he
bases.
has 4 steals is hilarious.
Yeah. That is crazy, actually. Well, it's probably because they're like,
Yeah,
he's not.
they
Yeah.
don't even factor it in.
They don't look at him. And then next thing you know, he's just barreling down
Uh, that's bad, man.
to the second base.
Someone needs to make a trade with me. Come on. Like one of these other teams, I have power. I know for a fact there's teams in this league that need power. That's always what people are looking for. I got plenty. Let's make a trade.
Yeah, and so one of the strategies that I used one year, because I think I told you that one of the first years I was in the league, I was like, okay, I'm going to go out and get the rarest stat, which I think is home runs and power, and then I'm going to trade once I kind of get going to figure out and get some of the other. I couldn't get much action going, but about halfway through the season, I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go and absolutely flood everyone's inboxes with trades. And I got a couple going. The one year I traded Santander. I forget who I got. MJ Melendez. It wasn't really a great. Didn't end up turning because I was trying to get batting, getting trade for average. But you might want to try that, Ben. Start flooding people's
Yeah,
inboxes.
maybe I'll
I
just start
I would
spamming.
I would trade you, but I think that would not work. We would probably be painted with the brush because I could use some help on the bats.
Yeah. Speaking of that though, like league aside, what's your thoughts on the Blue Jays? Okay, kind of came out on fire. Now they're back to 500. 4-6 in their last 10. So what's your thoughts on the Blue Jays overall and just the start of the baseball season, like on top of obviously the league that we're talking about here?
Well, if we look at, so maybe I'll go through, kind of give everyone a little bit of history of my thoughts. So, end of last year, very disappointed, very concerned about the direction that the franchise is going. Through the summer, don't really sign any marquee names, have tons of dough, they're theoretically in it. They make a couple of minor signings. Uh, and at first I was like, well, this is a failure. They don't have a ton in the pipeline. They don't have, talent depth chart pipeline, system pipeline. They weren't able to get these big marquee names. They're competing with the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Orioles. Like this is going to be a tough year. And then as we got through spring training, I started getting a little bit more optimistic that some of the guys that they had in the system that I was less familiar with might actually end up being better than I thought. And then I always mispronounce it as uh, Gimenez, Jimenez at second.
Mm-hmm.
And then Santander, I think that they were actually maybe under recognized signings. They have great pitching. That was never a question. It was a question of who's going to score runs. So we had talked about, I think 2 weeks ago about Vladdy. He's still not hitting home runs. Did he
Yeah.
have one yet? Does he have
Yeah,
one?
I think he has
He has
one.
one.
Yeah.
He has one, which is crazy. So I think that there is some room for optimism. Um, I think they came out and surprised a few people in the beginning because I think people thought they were going to be bad and an easy series, an easy stop. Um, so we'll see how it goes. Tempered expectations, but I'm generally an optimist and I feel pretty good that they might have a chance. So the other flip side though is what do you think of the other teams in their division? Because that's probably more important than whether the Blue Jays are any good. Because if the other teams in their division achieve their potential, the Blue Jays probably don't have a chance.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting the start to the season because sometimes I feel like at the beginning of a baseball season, even if it doesn't sustain over the course of the season, you get these teams that just start out on fire. Like there's always a team that is like crazy, to start the year, the first month, and that really hasn't been the case in the American League. The National League, you have the Padres and the Dodgers who have very good records, and then the Mets are also 17-7, like some pretty good records there. But I mean, 14-9 in 14-10, that's the best record in the American League. There's really been nobody that's jumped out to a crazy start. So I thought that was interesting. The Yankees are the Yankees. I mean, I don't think they have enough pitching to win the World Series with no Garrett Cole, but they're still a very good team. They have a very good bullpen, which helps out the lack of starting pitching, and obviously their offense can. It goes, how Judge goes, but Boston is a team I was pretty high on coming into the season, and I mean they've been pretty good. They're 14-11, so that would be my concern for the Blue Jays. I still think the Blue Jays are. I don't think they can win the division, but I think they're, obviously live to make the wild card round or something like that. But I think Boston is the best team in that division. We'll see if that carries out over the rest of the entire season, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you. The part that I was surprised with, they're only 14-11.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got their players up here, and this is not doesn't tell the whole story because these are the categories that we're playing on in fantasy. But I've been kind of underwhelmed by their offense.
Yeah, well, I mean, Devers has been so bad, so that's like a big factor.
Tyler Henneman is outproducing him.
Yeah, he's been horrible.
Um, who is the other guy
And like
that?
Story's been really good, but like, can you really
Yeah,
trust Trevor Story to stay healthy? Like, that's just the factor with him. It's been the factor for his entire career. Like, is he gonna hold up? I don't know.
exactly, exactly. Bregman didn't start well. This is the guy that I was looking for, but he really kind of turned it around. That was one of the targets that the Jays had and didn't get him. And we were quite disappointed for him to go to one of the arch rivals in the Red Sox.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that signing?
Yeah, I thought he's been good. I obviously liked the signing like coming into the season. I think like I still think like the whole him getting signed and like that affecting, like clearly Devers was not okay, even though Devers is a terrible defensive third baseman. That clearly mentally affected him, and I think that's carried into the season. That's partially why he's been so bad. Another underrated factor for Boston, though, they have like they have the best hitting prospect in baseball right now at AAA, Roman Anthony. I'm waiting for them to call him up. I don't really know what they're waiting for. I mean, he's been great to start the season there. He's hitting, around 300, good power. And I think I saw a stat a couple days ago. It was barrel rate for hitters at AAA, and he was like far and away number one right now. So I'm kind of waiting for them to bring him up, and maybe he could provide a little spark to the offense.
Interesting. Do you think they're trying to preserve some service time or something along those lines? Like, what do you think the reason is?
Yeah, probably. I don't really know what else they'd be waiting on. Like they have like it's not that they really have like open spots to play him, but I mean, if someone is that good, like you can find ways to, get
Yeah.
him into the lineup.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you play 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Should we move to pitchers?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's look at our teams first. Um, one I really wanted to actually, I want to call up both these. I think these were both great picks. Hunter Brown and Michael King on your end. Um, talk a little bit about those two picks. Like, why did you think Michael King was going to be good in San Diego and Hunter Brown?
Yeah, Hunter Brown is so good. So last year he made like a big pitch mix change pretty late in the season, like towards the second half. And I mean, people will remember him last year the way he started out the season. It was very, very bad. And then he rebounded a ton. Well, once he made that pitch mix change, and that was kind of adding this sinker in. So that's really helped him out, just balance out the pitch mix. And, he can rely on his other pitches that get, more swing and miss. And then this year specifically, he's allowing a 192 batting average with the sinker, 24% whiff rate, pretty good. But that has really transformed him. And he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball to start the year. He's been very, very good, even better than I thought.
Like he's number 3 right now in this composite score.
Yeah, and your old your old guy Max Fried up there, number 1. You weren't wrong. You were just early, Steve. Never forget that.
Yes, exactly. Well, again, it comes down to baseball probably more than any other sport, NFL second. It's about injuries. The year that I picked him, he was never right from the start, and then then he left and had Tommy John. I think it was that was year he had Tommy John. So it's all about I think I mentioned this before, but we had one of the companies that was working with the Breakaway Accelerator and our data feeds product, and we were powering them with performance data. They were called the Fantasy Doctors, and they had a whole bunch of medical data that they were then using to help fantasy owners and people betting on prop bets, etc., to understand the expected performance after someone comes back from injury. One of the things that I would love to take a look at, and if there's any data science students out there, we can provide the data for you, is to go back historically and look at a guy like Max Fried before he gets injured. What does his performance look like? Everything's cruising along, and then all of a sudden there's this weird dip, and we probably would have to get some, like pitch speed and spin rate and those type of stats. If you can predict when some of these injuries are going to occur, and I'm sure that the athletes and the teams, they already know that there's a problem, but they keep trucking them out there. But for us at home, where we're trying to, make a decision here and pick guys that are going to help us win, it would be interesting to kind of like see if you could get an early sneak peek into someone who might be declining because they're heading into an injury, a long-term injury.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting too. That would be pretty interesting to dive into, I think.
So if there's any students out there, you or any data scientists, you let Ben or I know, and we'll hook you up with the data.
Yeah, that would be fun.
But yeah, so we'll go back to our two teams. The one observation I had, maybe I'll reverse. I'll say, what observation do you have on my pitchers when you look at them? Because I've definitely got a standout observation.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I mean, Brady Singer being this high up is pretty interesting, especially when, not that he has pedigree, right? He was a high pick for the Royals back in the day, but it's just interesting to see him above some of these just really big names that we have on the rest of the list.
He was one of the guys that was on my list. I can't remember exactly what the thesis was at the time, but looking at the data from last year, looking at his age, I thought he might have a breakout season. Looking at his draft pedigree, there's a few of those guys that, like Kevin Gausman is kind of an example of that as well. Really, really high pick, okay in their first few years, age a little bit, get more mature, and then all of a sudden they're aces. So
yeah,
I
he was a first round pick, obviously for the Royals out of Florida, and then if you look, something that sticks out to me, I'm looking at his baseball savant. So he's never been a high strikeout guy ever. Like even in the minors, he was never a strikeout pitcher. That hasn't been the case this year. He's up 27% strikeouts is pretty good. And looking at his pitch mix, his third most used pitch this year is cutter, and he really didn't throw a cutter at all last year. So, that could maybe be attributed to why we're seeing some more strikeouts from him too.
Yeah. But I'm surprised you picked up on Brady Singer, because this is old man Sonny, my top pitcher. And
Yeah, he's
like if
getting
you
it
remember,
done.
if you
You
remember
didn't
in
want
the
to pick him.
draft, I know, I'm like, oh God, he's so old. Eventually he's gonna not be able to keep doing it.
Yeah, you didn't want to take him.
I had a question on one of your pitchers, and I haven't done a lot of research in it, but in my other league, he's available, and so I was like, "Ooh, should I pick him up?" Jordan Hicks converting to starting pitcher.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think it's working out? Do you think it's long term? Why would they do
Yeah.
that?
So last year, he was kind of I think last year was like the first full year of it for the Giants. And if you looked at his stats, his strikeout rate had come way down because he wasn't being used. It's a lot harder to start than it is to come out and pitch one inning for that. So his strikeouts had come way down last year as opposed to what they were in the past. But overall, his numbers were not bad. Like his surface ERA was 4.10, but uh I think there was some room to kind of grow there, even though he outperformed what we thought and the strikeouts were down. So, and the Giants are a smart team. Like they know how to like develop these guys, especially pitching wise. So that was more of a just like I'll bet on potentially the Giants like figuring something
Yeah.
out in the offseason. And yeah, I mean he's been pretty. If you look at this year, his ERA is 6.58. The expected is 3.86. Like he's still not striking out guys, but seems like he's gotten, a little bit unlucky. And he obviously pitches in a pretty, a lot of his starts at home. It's a pitcher friendly environment there. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll kind of see how that stabilizes over the course of the season.
And has been relatively consistent from last year, like a little bit better on whip, a little bit
Yeah.
worse on uh K per nine or K per inning. K per nine, I should probably use that stat instead. It's easier to understand. But
Something that stuck out to me when we were looking at all the teams. So obviously, I'm someone that like I really pride myself on like evaluating pitching, and it's something that I love to watch and stuff. I think it's so fascinating how good Brian Wu is for the Mariners. Like
I know.
he is so like he's so opposite of what all the pitchers do now, which is like try and get a ton of swing and miss. And it's not that he doesn't get swing and miss, but like if you think of like the archetype of the modern MLB pitcher, they're looking to get a ton of swing and miss. They're going to rack up strikeouts. They're not going to pitch crazy deep into games, right? And they're using a lot of. It's why so many people get injured. Like they're using a lot of like off speed, and they're trying to move these pitches a ton. And Brian Wu is like entirely predicated on just locating his pitches. He pretty much throws all fastball sinker. Like he rarely even throws his slider. Like he doesn't throw a lot of off speed at all. Like he's just throwing fastball sinker 70% of the time. He doesn't walk anyone, right? Like last year, he did 2.8%
Yes.
walk rate. Like it's all
Yeah.
his entire game is just locating his pitches, and he's so good. Like it's so fascinating to me to watch him pitch
Yeah.
because it's so opposite of what everyone else does.
Well, like who was it back in the day? It was Tom Glavine who was the um I feel like I'm bringing up the wrong old man pitcher.
I think you're thinking. You might be thinking of Maddox, but you're on the right team.
Maddox. You're right.
Yes,
Absolutely.
you had
It,
the
you know,
right
it
team,
kind of
just the wrong guy.
kind of reminds me of like back in the day there. It kind of reminds me of Stroman a little bit as well when he was with the Jays. Not a ton of strikeouts, but a ton of groundouts. Um, I think Brian Wu is more of a tactician than Stroman. Um, but like I agree, like he's kind of an anomaly. You might as well be out there throwing a knuckleball. Uh,
Yeah.
how different it feels and looks when he's on the mound compared to everybody else.
Oh yeah, that like I watch more baseball than anyone, I think, but he is someone like every time he pitches, and usually it's late at night because the Mariners are out west. So I always love watching him pitch just because it's so crazy, like relative to what everyone else does. It's so fun.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a good pick. Um, Any other kind of observations? I'm curious if this is correct or not, like if it matches with somebody, but I might be targeting Mackenzie Gore if not. Not to share any of my inside secrets for who I'm going to put a bid on for this week, but
Yeah, he's been very good. I mean, again, another guy with pedigree, top 5 overall pick. waited forever to come up for the Padres. It never, they never really ended up bringing him up, and then he gets traded for Soto. But he is still only 26, and he is coming into his own. I mean, 38% strikeout rate this year.
See if he's
I mean,
actually available.
he's been there's no way he's available. There has to be some error, but
Something that's not matching.
yeah, I mean his so when he was coming up, a lot of people comped him to Clayton Kershaw, like when he was a prospect, because he just has that big curveball, and that's been this year. Like his curveball, it's his second most used pitch, just
Yeah.
massive. 54% whiff rate on that curveball is insane. Like so much swing and miss. So it's fun to watch. Big, big left, not as big as Kershaw, but just curveball coming from the left side. It does kind of, make me reminisce because Clayton Kershaw, for me, that was right in my sweet spot of when I was coming up, like really getting into baseball. So it makes me sad that he's not what he once was, but Mackenzie Gorkin channeled that a little bit for me.
Yeah. Father Time remains undefeated. Did I tell you when I saw Kershaw in Chicago?
No, I don't think you told me that.
So we went and watched, Lauren and I went and watched Cubs Dodgers, a couple of day games. Went to Wrigley after. It was Wrigleyville. It was quite the day. And so they finished the game in for anyone who's been to Wrigley Stadium, Wrigley Field, the players are kind of right in there with just the way the dress rooms are. They're it's like a door off of the concession, the concourse. And so I can't remember. I don't think he pitched that day. But anyways, at the end of the game, we're kind of walking around, and there's Tommy Lasorda, and then there's Clayton Kershaw in cowboy boots, a white T-shirt, and jeans. No one has any idea who he. I'm like, that's Clayton Kershaw. And he's just like standing there like next to the hot dog line, and no one had any idea who he was. I was shocked, but he just looked like such an everyday average guy that I think he just blended into the crowd.
Yeah. So okay, you're obviously different age group than me. So who is like your favorite? Because Kershaw's there for me, and then I have one other that I don't think you would guess for just my favorite pitchers that I've got to watch. So I don't know, but maybe yours is different depending on what team you rooted for when you were a kid and stuff like Toronto and whatnot.
Let me. So who would be my favorite? Or am I trying to guess your favorite?
No, tell me who your favorite is, and then I'll give you my other one.
Um, I would say that at the time, Rocket Roger Clemens
Oh
was
yeah.
definitely he had a big attitude, throwing smoke. It was great. Since then the luster maybe is worn off a little bit. But in the moment,
Yeah. Well, you just take him
he was pretty
on
awesome.
the field. That's obviously I
Yeah,
can respect that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would probably be it. Um, I'm thinking, he's probably the guy. He's the guy that comes to mind, that we would emulate when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
So who's your other one? I'm curious as to who your other one is.
Uh, yeah, man. So rest in peace. Jose Fernandez was really just got me. That was right in when I was like in high school, and that just really got me. That was right when I was like in my full obsession with fantasy baseball, and I actually got to see him pitch in Cleveland, like pretty. I think it was like pretty like shortly before he ended up passing away. Um,
Crazy.
but yeah, it was. Oh man, that was like for me, like growing up, I just loved him so much. He was gonna
He
be so good.
he was going to be the guy.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
pretty high
I'm
on
going
him.
I'm going back and looking and see if there's anyone else back in the day that maybe another guy that would stand out in my mind. And I secretly had a little bit of a love with them, even though the Jays were my team and wanted to win. Is Dennis Eckersley? He
I
was the
think my
closer, and
I think my uncle has some Dennis Eckersley cards from back in the day. Speaking of
Oh, really? That would
our
be
card
cool.
stuff, yeah.
That would be very cool. Um, he would be up there. Um, hated but appreciated Mariano Rivera. I can never
Oh yeah,
pronounce his
you
name
like
either.
yeah, you have to respect. Definitely have to give some respect. And I'm the farthest thing from a Yankees fan, but I mean, I have to respect that.
Yeah, that would be a good one too. Um, okay, so let's do one last thing on here, and then we can kind of switch topics. I wanted to look at the pitching prospects that are available or could be available. I think some of these are available. Who would you be targeting? Um, from who's available on the waiver wire?
Yeah, this Landon Rupp on the Giants, that is that's like a must add for me, I think. I was gonna pick him up on Monday, and like you, I got kind of messed up with the Patriots Day game at 11, like I ran out of
Yeah,
time. I was gonna pick him up, but yeah, he looks really good. Again, Giants very good at developing pitching, kind of out of nowhere. He was a 12th round draft pick in like 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. But again, he's a big curveball too, coming from the right side. His most used pitch is his curveball. He's curveball sinker, but he gets 57% whiff rate on that curveball. His ERA is 409, expected 292, 31% strikeout rate. He looks really, really good to me. And I've watched two of his starts and passes the eye test too. He looks
impressed.
really good. I was gonna pick him up. So if you want him, you can have him, but I would say that's a must add.
Well, I don't need pitching, so I'm probably not going to pursue him.
Okay. That's
Um,
gonna be an ad for me then for sure.
yeah. And then the other thing I was going to do is just sort for you on saves.
Yeah, I don't even there's no options. Like some of these guys can get you maybe like one a week, but I feel like it's so tough to like navigate it in our league because it's just so many teams. Like you get caught waiting in the draft and then all of a sudden there's just none left because there's 28 picks before it gets back to you.
Yeah, yeah, yep, exactly. And there is a strategy where you sacrifice one of those categories. Just get the bottom and focus on the other ones. But then you're you
Yeah.
know you're giving up 13 points.
And because like there's so many teams in our league, I mean they're not really inclined to trade. Like no one's really going to be trading me a star closer, I don't think, unless they're
Yeah.
just completely out of the mix and they like are desperate. But I
And
think
the
it's
thing is,
it's probably the least likely position someone's going to trade.
yeah, well, there's not that many of that guys that get multiple saves a week. Um,
Yeah.
it was funny because what was I was going to come back to um, one of the interesting things. Who was it that uh, our our, uh,
Oh yeah,
our buddy?
our guy from USA
Yeah,
Today.
um, where is this? Not the season. It's not gonna. This is one thing about their site. I can never figure out how to get to the season stats because he had something that was. It was like he picked a whole bunch of clothes. Let's just look at his roster.
Yeah, I
Let's
saw
do
you.
that.
Yeah, I can see it on his team there.
I was just like, oh, okay, all right, so that's why.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, interesting
Yeah,
kind
I
of
I did that in the best ball
strategy.
league. Maybe I should just maybe I should take I mean, I waited on starters. I guess I should have just taken closers instead of starters to start the draft here, maybe.
Start there because it's the rarer of the two skills. Um, all right, let's quickly look at batters, and then we'll wrap up. This is more for me, less for you. And Pete Crow,
Yeah.
he might already be picked up,
Yeah.
just because of the naming. Pete
Yeah.
Alonso is. I don't know why the name's not. He's picked
Yeah.
up
Some of
already.
these
He's
guys,
picked
but
up already.
all right, scrolling down though, like uh
I wonder if it's because it capitalized in their name. I didn't get that. So
yeah, that
Cameron
might be it.
Misner, I think he's available. So he'd be. I think this is the first guy available. Jake Mayers, TJ Friedel, Matt
Yeah.
Mervis, Abrams is not available. It's probably because of the dots.
Yeah. I mean, Cameron Misner actually has like good underlying stats. Like to
So,
start
but
this.
here's my thing for him: like, why all of a sudden? Why all of a sudden is he all of a sudden performing? He's not a young guy. He's had a couple cracks at the majors previously. Is he just getting into that mental age of 27, 28 years old, and now it's starting to click for him?
Yeah. I mean, let me pull up his.
It's like last year for him. I can add.
I want to pull up his splits, like handedness wise.
Uh,
Since he's a lefty, I mean, they're probably just using him against righties. Let me see. 2025. Yeah, I mean he has 40. Yeah, so mainly just platoon guys. So that would be something you'd have to check, like the upcoming pitchers. If there's a bunch of righties that they're going to face for the week, like that's someone you
Yeah.
could put in because he only has 9 plate appearances against lefties this year. He's hitting 125, but against righties, 52 plate appearances, he's hitting 391. So obviously, big difference there.
Yeah. So
But
you
if you
think
see a
that's
week
just
where
it?
they're
They're
like
just
all righties on the opposing schedule for the Rays, like that would be a good little streamer. Friedel, if no one has him, like that's interesting just because he hits at the top of the Reds lineup and they've
let's
kind of
see
been
this.
scoring a little bit.
I can't imagine why he wouldn't be matching. I got every free agents. Maybe he's not here.
Because he's been pretty good.
I don't know why. Oh, maybe they've got. Maybe it's.
Oh, like the
I don't
name,
know.
the
Yeah,
first, the TJ, probably.
yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
it,
Misner, I'm interested in if like you can just you just have to look ahead on Sunday night and see what the probable starters are. It's kind of tough to do that nowadays though, because some of these teams change so much.
oh,
Back in
it's
the day, it
brutal.
was easy.
Yeah.
Definitely a
Now
little
they
bit harder
just
now.
flop around all the time, and sometimes they don't even tell you until the day of who's pitching. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Anybody else on this
Yeah,
list?
he hit a home run last night. Josh Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna bring
Another
him up.
another platoony guy though, like batting from the left side, but it's just
I
someone that you
picked
got to
him in
check.
my other league, and I just feel like he's not performing. Like he's
Yeah,
not worth it. But
he's
he's got
getting
to be
going though.
careful.
The home run.
You got to be careful. The fans at home, you can't use your perception from one league to then influence your decision in another league because it's different. So I
Yes.
got to always like remain intellectually honest. Um, if he's a disappoint over there, he might not be. He might be a good fit on my other team. So, anyways,
Yeah.
this is what I'm looking for is somebody. I actually the other interesting thing I was going to say I've got JJ Bleday, and he's probably taken. It's probably just the dots in his name, but uh, not great this year. I thought he would be better this year.
Yeah, he's only hit like 220, I think. Not very good. Especially with the ballpark that they're in. I feel like you should be a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah, 2 homers,
Yeah.
210. Not good. Not good. All righty. Well, we've gone deep. We've gone deep on our league. Hopefully, people find
Yeah.
that somewhat entertaining as we talk about these individual players. Any comments at home? Any help? I can use it,
Yeah.
especially on the
Yeah,
batters.
someone send Steve some advice on his hitters for his fantasy league who he should pick up or look to trade for. All right, overall, thank you guys for tuning in today. Steve will be back next Wednesday as well. You should be good from like here for a while, right? Like just come on
I think
Wednesdays.
so. Yeah, there might be a random one, but I think I'll be a regular guest, hopefully on Wednesdays going forward.
Yeah, and little sneak preview once we get to the NFL season. Steve has a pretty cool data space that he created. Obviously, in the past, he used it last year for survivor picks. So I'm already like planning ahead. Like you comment on Wednesdays, we talk survivor picks, especially because that's before Thursday night football. So that should be
Perfect.
we work out pretty good. So you'll be seeing a lot of Steve over the course of the summer leading into the fall. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Good luck.
One other, I want to
Yeah, go
plug
ahead.
one other thing before I leave. So the other thing I want to mention is that we're getting to the end of the first month of baseball. So I am going to resurrect my pitcher comparison data space as well. So hopefully I'll have that done for next Wednesday. If not, it'll be the following Wednesday. And we'll have enough data now where we can actually start to
Yeah.
compare matchups from a performance perspective.
Yeah, I have MLB power rankings I've been working on too, like formula. So I was just waiting until we get to that month kind of
Okay.
cut off to at least have something to take away from. But yeah, I'll have that done by Wednesday. So at least we can pull that up and at least walk through it when you come on next Wednesday.
Awesome. I'm excited. I'm very excited because every year there's a team that surprises me that,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
gonna yeah.
yeah,
There'll be
I'm
there'll be
excited.
someone that you're like, how did they get up there? But all right, thank you guys for tuning in today. Good luck tonight with your bets, DFS, fantasy leagues, all that good stuff, and we'll see you tomorrow. Big NFL draft preview tomorrow, 11 a.m. Mock draft. I'm gonna make a mock draft on the stream, and there's a contest. I don't know if it's on Walter Football. Someone has a contest. You can win $350 for free for the most accurate mock draft. So we will be entering that contest. But all right, we'll see
Nice.
everybody tomorrow.
Talk to everybody later.